Hello, everybody. This is Stacy Nicolatos. I'm a representative of Rocky Mountaineer, and I'm really excited to be able to share with you all just all things Rocky Mountaineer. And I want to thank Covington Travel for allowing me to kind of talk to you all about just the amazing vacations that we provide throughout the Rockies, which I know is probably a question that a lot of you are asking right now is, well, what exactly does Rocky Mountaineer do? And hopefully you could tell by the picture in front of you that we do provide these amazing rail vacations throughout the Rockies. Now, over the last 32 years, I always specified that it was in the Canadian Rockies. But last year, we did introduce our newest route, Rocky to the Red Rocks, here in the US. So today I'll be kind of talking about all of our routes. And I'm sure some of you right now are probably wondering, well, do I sleep on the train? And the answer is no. And there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, we want to ensure that you're having the most wonderful vacation possible. And the best way that we can do that is making it very comfortable. And sleeping on a train, I'll be honest with you, doesn't necessarily scream comfort, and trying to shower on a moving vehicle is a little bit challenging. But the second reason why that I think is equally, if not more important, is that we just don't want you to miss out on any of that stunning scenery. And whether it's through Western Canada or here in the American Southwest, you'll notice when you're traveling with us that there's not a lot of roads. So we're giving you this exclusive access to seeing not only those gorgeous mountains, but also some beautiful lakes, rivers, waterfalls, and amazing wildlife as well. Welcome aboard, everybody. I'm going to talk through this presentation. Think of it as like a filter. So I'm going to start off by talking about our rail routes. I'm then going to narrow it down and talk about the stellar service that you'll receive traveling with us on the train. I'm going to narrow it down a little bit more and talk about some sightseeing activities that you can do once you're off the train so that you really can explore these amazing cities and towns. And then I'm going to talk about our promotions. First, I'm going to talk about our rail routes. And we have 3 rail routes in Western Canada. Hopefully, what you can see from the map in front of you is that each of our rail routes are color-coded. And the white diamonds that are on the map here, these are those overnight stays along the route, because again, you're not sleeping on the train. All of our trains travel both eastbound and westbound. And what I mean by that is that if you're going to take the train eastbound, you'll start your vacation off in Vancouver. And at that point, you'll take one of our 3 routes that'll take you either up to Jasper, Lake Louise, or Banff. Now, at that point, you're going to get off the train and do your sightseeing activities. Now you're in the Canadian Rockies, and this is where you can explore these fantastic mountain towns off the train. And if you're going to take the train one way, then you would depart out of Calgary. If you're going to take the train westbound, then you'll do this in the reverse. So you'll start your vacation in Calgary. And at that point, being that you're in the Canadian Rockies, you're going to start your vacation doing those sightseeing activities first. And I'll talk about that later on in the presentation. And then you'll pick up one of our routes, relaxing, making your way back to Vancouver. I'm going to talk about each of these routes and what makes them a little bit distinct from one another. First, we have our Rainforest Gold Rush route. This is our 3-day route. So if you're wanting to explore and spend more time on the train, taking it one way, this would be a great option for you. And what I love about our Rainforest to Gold Rush route, every single day, the scenery changes dramatically. I'm going to talk about each of these routes as if you were taking the train eastbound, starting in Vancouver. On our Rainforest to Gold Rush route, when you leave Vancouver, you're going to be traveling along different bodies of water, making your way into Whistler. You'll arrive into Whistler around 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and now you have all day and evening to explore this quaint ski town. Whistler was actually really kind of became known back in 2010 when it housed the Winter Olympics. But as you can see in the summer season, plenty of things to do. To me, it reminds me of a little mini Switzerland. The next morning, we're going to pick you up from your hotel in Whistler. We do include all transfers from the hotels to the train station and back. So we'll be picking you up in the morning, and now you're going to be making your way up to Quesnel. And what you're going to notice, scenery changes dramatically, because as you start climbing up to Quesnel, you'll be traveling along the Gold Rush route. As you can see in the picture in front of you, that it's very dry, kind of desert-like, but you have it, and you're traveling along like these different bridges, looking down into these gorgeous steep canyons like Fraser Canyon. You'll be arriving in the evening into the small little mining town of Quesnel. It is a place for you to just get off, get a good night's sleep. I'll be honest with you, there are no fancy hotels in Quesnel. I will say this, I do love the folks of Quesnel. Usually they'll gather at the train station to wave you in. I always say that you're their source of entertainment. And for that, I'm gonna say thank you. Now in the morning, we'll pick you up from your hotel in Quesnel. And now you're gonna travel and make your way up to Jasper. And you're gonna notice scenery changes again. Now you're traveling along and inside at the Canadian Rockies. And as you approach Jasper, you do come across Mount Robson, which is the largest mountain peak in the Canadian Rockies. We have two-day routes. First, we have our Journey Through the Clouds route. Now, this route also makes its way up to Jasper. And again, you do come across Mount Robson, that largest mountain peak in the Canadian Rockies. However, you will be overnighting in the town of Kamloops. Kamloops is another small town, but it is actually the tournament capital of Canada. And as you can see in front of you, there are two rivers that run through it. I always recommend, if you do have time, once you get dropped off to your hotel, to make your way downtown and just come down to the waterfront. They do have some really spectacular sunsets. But the real highlight of our Journey Through the Clouds is once you leave Kamloops, you are going to come across Pyramid Falls. It is this stunning waterfall. And as you can see in the picture in front of you, the train comes right at the base of the falls. Our train travels fairly slow on your journey, anywhere from, I'm going to say 28 to 38 miles per hour. But when we come across these jaw-dropping types of scenery like Pyramid Falls, the train comes to a crawl, so about maybe 5-8 miles per hour. So you're able to take in the thunder of the falls and also take some spectacular photographs as well. And the thing to note, the only people who get to see Pyramid Falls are those traveling on Rocky Mountaineer, because it is not accessible by road. We have another two-day route, and this is our first passage to the west. Our first passage to the west also overnights in Kamloops, but then it also travels through the spiral tunnels. To give you a little bit of Canadian history, back in the late 1800s, Canada completed its rail line. Very important to Canadians, it's what united the country. However, they had a bit of a problem. They could not figure out how to control the speed of the train as they were traveling through those huge mountains. So the Canadian government went up to their friends up in Switzerland. They had a running rail line at the time, and they also have really big mountains. And they said, how in the world did you do this? An engineer came down and he goes, I got it. We're going to blow through the mountains. Now, this is back in the late 1800s. It truly is an engineering marvel on how they did this without having the technology or the type of equipment that we have today. So when you think about spiral tunnels, I'm sure some of you right now are thinking, okay, is it like a corkscrew? But the best way that I really can describe it, think of it as an uppercase cursive L, so that you're traveling in and out of the mountains at various degrees, and that's what helps control the speed of the train. And when you come out of those mountains, The view is absolutely spectacular. I did not include it in this presentation. First of all, the picture just doesn't do it justice, but I do like to leave some sort of element of surprise in my presentations. But I will give you this. Another one of my favorite things along our first passage to the first passage to the west, and I can't really say it's a thing, it's a person, and it's Dolly. Dolly lives right outside of Kamloops, and I'm just so excited that I finally got a pretty good picture of not only her, but her dog. And her dog is very important to the story. Dolly always comes out as the Rocky Mountaineer train comes by. I've traveled on this route many a times, have seen her come out and wave us through along the way. It's her dog that actually notifies her when the Rocky Mountaineer train comes by. Many years ago, we invited Dolly on board the train. We figure it's the best thing that we can do for her, because she is always just such a huge delight for all of our guests. And right in Kamloops is where we have our rail yard. So we have all our mechanics and engineers that are there. They all came out and spent time on her front yard. So as the Rocky Mountaineer train came by, and as she was sitting by the window, they all waved to her. So I really do hope that if you do travel on our first passage to the west route, that you get a chance to see Dolly, because she really is, I think, one of the highlights traveling on the train. If you cannot decide which route you like to take one way, then you can take the train round trip, and that's traveling on one of our circle journeys. And our circle journey packages are where you're taking two different routes. So an example of one is starting off in Vancouver and taking that Rainforest to Gold Rush route, which is that 3-day route. And at that point, it'll take you to Jasper. You'll get off the train and spend 2 nights in Jasper, 2 nights in Lake Louise, 2 nights in Banff, and then picking up our first passage to the west route, waving to Dolly, and then making your way back to Vancouver. And we have circle journey packages anywhere from 7 to 13 days in duration. Next, we have our Rockies to the Red Rocks route. This is our route that we just launched in August of last year. And I am just so excited to finally have Rocky Mountaineer here in the US. I've traveled on Rocky Mountaineer in the Canadian Rockies 6 different times. And the first time that I traveled on the train on our US route here was in September of last year. And I thought to myself, Stacey, just be prepared. No way is it going to be just as beautiful as it is out in the Canadian Rockies. And boy, was I wrong. It's different. But along the route from Denver to Glenwood Springs, it's all about the canyons. And what I noticed is that there weren't a lot of roads. So it's pretty exciting and kind of goosebump chilling to know that I'm one of the few people who get to see some of these stunning canyons. You'll be overnighting in Glenwood Springs. And then the route from Glenwood Springs to Moab, now you're traveling along the Red Rocks. And again, it's just so unique seeing these gorgeous rock formations, just spectacular. The train also travels both westbound and eastbound. So if you're going to travel westbound, you'll start off in Denver, overnight in Glenwood Springs, and end in Moab. At that point, you have a choice. You can either fly home from Moab, or you can extend your vacation with us and take a sightseeing up to Salt Lake City and fly out there, or out to Las Vegas. If you're going to travel eastbound, you can start your vacation either in Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, Moab, and then take the train overnighting in Glenwood Springs, arriving into Denver. Recently, we just launched our newest video. Back in the fall of last year, we had videographers and photographers out on the train. So I'm really excited to share with you our newest video to give you an idea of what it's like to travel on our Rockies to the Red Rocks.
As you drift away from the lively city of Denver, the sun wakes the Colorado Rockies and you begin your journey through landscapes that have been transformed over millennia. And it feels as though it was all created just for you. Roaming through breathtaking plains, you reach an engineering marvel known as the Big Ten Curve. Relax in comfort as you cut through 6 miles of hand-blasted rock in the historic Moffat Tunnel, where you cross the Continental Divide. Take in majestic canyons, slowly carved away by the Colorado River on its long march to the Pacific Ocean. As you travel along tracks stitched into towering red canyons, indulge in world-class service from our glass dome coaches. Wind along endless, captivating canyon walls before arriving at the historic town of Glenwood Springs, famous for its geothermal amenities. Begin your day exploring the monumental Tibet Canyon, part of Grand Mesa, the world's largest flat-top mountain. Then witness the glory of Mount Garfield. Standing proudly at over 6,700 feet, it's sure to be a high point. The surreal beauty of the crimson-stained cliffs surrounds you, displaying millions of years of erosion as you cross Ruby Canyon. Finally, you approach Moab, as the red sandstone mountains that the American Southwest is so famous for come into view. This is your gateway to the mighty 5 national parks. From the Rockies to the Red Rocks, this ever-changing journey captures the unimaginable majesty of this unique place that's been a million years in the making.
And doesn't that last scene just take your breath away? Now I'm going to talk and narrow it down and just talk about just the amazing service that you're going to receive on board the train. And once you get on board, you're going to be greeted by a lot of really happy people. And these are your hosts, and they wear a couple of different hats. So first of all, they're there to ensure that you're going to have the most fabulous vacation possible. But they're also providing commentary and storytelling. Again, our trains travel fairly slow, so it gives them the opportunity to talk to you about what it is that you're seeing. But they're also excellent animal scouts. So James here in the middle, you'll see that he's got an earbud in his ear. All the hosts talk to each other amongst the different rail cars. So when, for example, there's a bear sighting, he's going to say, okay, everybody, just want to let you know, train manager just said that there's a family of bears up to the left. What do you think happens? Everybody goes to the left. It's very much of a social environment on board the train. We really do encourage you to get up, walk around, be social. We do not expect you to be sitting at your seats the entire time. All meals and drinks are included when you're traveling with us on the train. Our food is pretty spectacular. All of it is locally sourced. If you do have any dietary restrictions, this is where you just need to notify your Covington Travel advisor so we can make sure that our chefs have the appropriate meals for you. In addition to that, all drinks are included as well, and that's both alcoholic and non-alcoholic. And this is what I say, you're on vacation. If you want to indulge and have a little bubbles in the morning, maybe have a glass of wine later on in the afternoon, it's okay to indulge because you're on vacation. As far as rail service levels, what I really mean by this is that we have a couple of different cars in which you can travel with us. First, we have our Silverleaf rail car, which is available both on our US and Canadian routes. Our Silverleaf rail car, all one level. There is space to get outdoor fresh air, and that's going to be in the vestibule. So it's the space in between the rail cars, but on our Silverleaf cars, you do have an opportunity to take some photographs outside of the rail car and also take in some fantastic mountain crisp air. Inside As you can see, we have these huge, large windows so that you'll have unobstructed views of the amazing scenery. And in our Silverleaf rail cars, your meals are going to be plated at your seat, which I really think kind of further enhances that relaxing atmosphere. And hopefully you can tell by the picture in front of you that even with the tray down, there is plenty of space so that you can get up from your seat and not having to worry about modifying what's on your plate right there at your seat. So lots of space within our Silverleaf rail cars. If you are wanting to further enhance your experience on our US route, you can upgrade to our Silverleaf Plus service. So you'll still have your seat in the Silverleaf rail car because that's where all your meals are going to be served to you. But then you would have access to our lounge car for the 2-day rail journey. And in our lounge car, we do have a mixologist on board. So I took this picture of my colleagues kind of looking forward, but behind me, there is a bar. So we have a dedicated mixologist that's making signature cocktails. We do have a little bit more of an elevated both meal and drink service for our Silverleaf Plus guest. Now in Canada, if you want to enhance your rail journey, you can upgrade to our Gold Leaf rail service. Our Gold Leaf rail cars are 2 stories. Upstairs, it's all glass dome seating. Downstairs, we have a dedicated outdoor viewing platform. So you can walk around, take in that fabulous mountain crisp air, and also take some amazing photographs outside of the rail car. We also have the dining room that is downstairs. So we have an a la carte menu from which you can pick and choose from. There is a spiral staircase from upstairs to downstairs, but for those of you that have issues with stairs, it's not a problem. You can still elevate your experience on our Canadian routes traveling on our Gold Leaf rail car because we do have a lift. So we have that lift that'll take you from upstairs to downstairs. Some of you are probably wondering, well, why aren't you utilizing your Gold Leaf rail cars on the US route? It's that pesky Moffat tunnel that was shown in the video earlier. It's a little bit too short for our 2-story Gold Leaf rail cars. All of our packages do include the hotels. And our hotels, I think, are fantastic no matter which ones you choose. So in Canada, you have a choice of either staying in our Gold Leaf hotels. Those are going to be 5-star properties. Typically, they're going to be those Fairmont hotels, which are those iconic, beautiful properties nestled in the Canadian Rockies. For example, the Chateau Lake Louise, which is pictured in front of you. It is actually one of the most photographed hotels in the world. But we also have in Canada some more modest hotels. Those are going to be centrally located. Those are going to be like more 3 and 4-star. You know, typically when I travel in Canada, I'll stay at those Silverleaf hotels because I like to be where the action is, but I will upgrade my experience and travel on our Gold Leaf rail cars. In the US, we use hotels that are also going to be in downtown areas. So for example, in Denver, we'll use hotels that are right in downtown Denver. Same thing in Moab. If you are going to travel on one of our packages where we stop off at national parks, we will be staying at hotels that are right outside of those national parks. We understand that your time is very valuable. So therefore, we'll utilize those hotels right there, either in or outside the national parks in Utah. Really can, again, you can't go wrong with any of our hotels. Now I'm going to talk about sightseeing activities that you can do once you're off the train to further enhance your experience with us. And there's a couple of different ways in which you can do your sightseeing. First, we have those motor coach sightseeing tours, but we also have motor coach transfer sightseeing tours as well. These are both available in the US and in Canada. So in Canada, examples of some of the motor coach sightseeing tours that you can do are going to be in and around Vancouver, Jasper, Lake Louise, Banff, and Calgary. In Vancouver, I always recommend, if you've never been to Vancouver before, spend at least 2 nights there. It is honestly one of the most beautiful cities in all of North America. I always recommend that you can do a full day sightseeing tour of Vancouver, or you can do the hop on, hop off tours. All of them do stop off at Stanley Park. Stanley Park is absolutely enormous. Just to put it into perspective, it's even bigger than Central Park in New York. Now, out in Canada, specifically in Banff, all of our packages do include taking a gondola up to Sulphur Mountain, where you will have the most gorgeous bird's eye view of those Canadian Rockies, but also the township of Banff. And on top of the mountain, they have fire pits that are there. In the summertime, they do have a bar that they open up that's playing music. So you can enjoy either some hot cocoa or a glass of wine, just taking in those spectacular, spectacular views. Then there's the Icefield Parkway. And on the map earlier, you may have seen that there was a green dotted line connecting Jasper, connecting through Lake Louise and Banff, making its way down to Calgary. It's the Icefields Parkway. It's one of the most scenic parkways in the world. And I always recommend, if you're spending time out in the Canadian Rockies, if you're going to be traveling straight over to either Banff or Lake Louise, you can include a tour of the Icefields Parkway. If you're going to take one of our routes up to Jasper, then you'll be traveling along the Icefields Parkway to Lake Louise and Banff. And along the parkway, there are some stunning waterfalls. My personal favorite is Athabasca Falls, which is just south of Jasper. What's also south of Jasper is Athabasca Glacier. And so if you're going to be traveling along the Icefields Parkway, you will be stopping off and actually walking on top of the glacier. And Athabasca Glacier is one of the few glaciers in the world where it's accessible by road. A couple of tips for me. First of all, if it's a sunny day, bring those sunglasses because the glare can be quite bright. Also, you don't need special shoes to walk on the glacier, but I would just make sure that you have shoes that have some sort of tread on them, because again, you will be walking on a glacier. Now, in the US, we do have sightseeing tours in and around from Salt Lake City to Moab, but also from Moab out to Las Vegas as well. And some of my favorite things that I love to see when I'm out in that area. In Moab, it's home to a couple of national parks and state parks. My personal favorite is Arches National Park. It is absolutely spectacular. It is home to more than 2,000 natural sandstone arches. And I usually don't like having people in my pictures, but I just wanted to just kind of include this picture of the south windows just to show you just how massive some of these natural sandstone arches are littered throughout the park. Now, not too far away from Moab, there's Capitol Reef National Park. Capitol Reef National Park is one of the lesser known Mighty Five national parks nestled in Utah. My colleague and I did some hiking around there, and in Capitol Reef National Park, there is this road that travels all along, and you see all of the stunning, beautiful, beautiful scenery. She was driving, I was the photographer. I just love that photo. Then there's Bryce Canyon National Park. Now, we do have our at leisure package that does stop off and spends the night at Bryce. Bryce Canyon, absolutely spectacular. Ebenezer Price, who was the pioneer who founded Bryce Canyon, has this fantastic quote. He says, "It's a hell of a place to lose a cow." I just say when you visit Bryce Canyon, you make sure that you hold on to those house keys. But what I love about our at leisure package is that you'll not only be seeing Bryce Canyon in the afternoon, but you go back in the morning because the way that the sun hits on those hoodoos, it looks completely different. On that same at leisure package, you will be stopping off at Zion National Park. It is the oldest national park in Utah, one of the most spectacular parks there as well. Within Zion National Park, you'll see that there are these huge rock formations well over 2,000 feet high. This is a picture of Zion Canyon. It has the Virgin River flowing through it. Absolutely breathtaking. Now, we also have flight seeing tours, and the flight seeing tours you can take either to and from Moab to Salt Lake City. That would be an hour and 20-minute flight. Or we have flight seeing tours to and from Moab to Las Vegas. That's 2 hours and 20 minutes. If you want to have another very unique bird's eye view of the national and state parks, this is an excellent option for you to do so, because you are flying low, seeing some of that beautiful scenery that we have just right here in the US. Now in Canada, we also have our self-drive program, and that is your Covington Travel advisor will book the hotel for you in advance, book the rental car in advance for you, and now you can explore on your own. You'll be traveling along that Icefields Parkway that I mentioned earlier. Good news is it's just one road. There is no way that you can get lost. So if you're wanting to explore on your own at your own pace, maybe you want to do some additional hiking or you're into photography, this would be a great option for you on our Canadian packages. Some interesting facts and information I thought I would kind of cover during this presentation. I've been doing this for many years, so I've kind of gathered some questions along the way. First is, people always ask me what to wear. And whether you're traveling out in the Southwest or up in the Canadian Rockies, I say be comfortable. Fantastic thing is the canyons and the mountains don't care what you look like. So I say be comfortable, but do wear layers. You never know what Mother Nature is going to bring. We do have pre-assigned seats on board the train. It's a wonderful way for you to start your vacation relaxing. And if any of you have taken Amtrak before and you're traveling with others, sometimes you get a little bit of angst wanting to make sure that you can have seats that are together. We take all that angst away from you. We do have pre-assigned seats. So if you are traveling with a group of friends, just let your Covington Travel advisor know so that we can have you all seated together. And again, I don't care which car you're traveling in, I guarantee you that you will have just the most fantastic scenery, no matter where you're sitting. Bring a day pack on board the train. And the reason why I mention this to you is that your luggage will not be traveling with you when you are on board the train. So for example, if you're starting your vacation in Denver on our US route, we're going to tell you to leave your bags in the hotel. We will pick them up and we will put them on a truck that goes ahead of the train. So when you arrive into Glenwood Springs, we're going to give you your hotel keys right on board the train. You'll then just walk into your hotel room. Your bag's going to be waiting for you. So I would say if you need to take medication throughout the day, I would say bring that. If you are going to be traveling on our Gold Leaf rail car that has a dedicated outdoor viewing platform, maybe bring your sunglasses, maybe a hat, just in case if it's a sunny day. But also don't forget those batteries and chargers. All of our rail cars, they do have outlets that are right there at your seat, but bring those memory cards. I am telling you, I've taken, and I've been on the train now 8 times. I take at least 400 to 600 photos just from my seat on the train. So bring those memory cards. And in Canada, no need to worry about a converter or an adapter because they use the same wattage and prongs as we do here in the US. Passports are required to enter into Canada. And as of today, you also must be vaccinated to get into Canada, but we do not require for you to be vaccinated to travel on our US route. If you are traveling into Canada, just contact your phone and credit card company. And the reason why I mention this, as far as your phone, we do not have Wi-Fi on the train. You're traveling through the Canadian Rockies. It's really spotty at best, and that's both here in the US and up in Canada. There is obviously, when you're at the hotels, there's Wi-Fi access, but in Canada, if you want to call your loved ones at home, just make sure that your phone company has a plan for you to call into to home from Canada, and they're not going to charge you an arm and a leg. Same thing with the credit card company. If you're utilizing a credit card in Canada, just make sure that your credit card company is not going to charge you a foreign transaction fee. And lastly, trip insurance. I cannot stress this enough. I've had to use it multiple times for various reasons. I definitely highly recommend that you do get that trip insurance, especially if you're traveling up to Canada, because they do not recognize, nor will they allow you to use your medical insurance. And this is where Covington Travel really is of value to you, because they can talk to you about which plan is best for you. As far as promotions, currently right now we have Travel the Rockies promotion, and that is that if you book a 2022 package, you will receive $400 off per couple, or that's $200 per person. That is if you put your deposit now down by April the 29th. Just note that there are some blackout dates, so talk to your Covington Travel advisor if you are looking to travel to the Canadian or the US Rockies. In addition to that, Virtuoso is a very strong partner of Rocky Mountaineer, so that if you're traveling on our Canadian route, we will include a private one-way airport transfer, either in Vancouver or Calgary. And in the US, we will offer you $100 off per booking, and those are for packages of 5 days or longer. On top of that, if any of you have traveled on Rocky Mountaineer in the past, that we will give you an additional $400 a couple, or $200 off per person. And that is just our way of saying thank you with traveling with Rocky Mountaineer again. And with that, I want to thank you all so much for your time. If you are in Canada, in downtown Banff, I always say you got to give the Sasquatch a big hug. But with that, I think we're all pretty much done with all of our house projects, yard projects. I know if you are like me, I am so excited to get out there, and traveling on Rocky Mountaineer truly will be just one of the most unique and fantastic vacations you'll take. So I hope to see you all this year on board our trains. Thank you again for your time, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.